Welcome, dude. Lyndon is famous in some parts. He's famous, I'm sure, in many parts, but
I'm
in
famous in my own
Percywakkam,
house.
yeah. But at least and I was in Matthias and Lyndon studied in Dufton, and we probably met up at various parts, but most likely at Lyndon just told me it was Anita Tea Shop at the corner. Um, uh, um, but yes, welcome, Lyndon. Lyndon is, let me intro Lyndon, and then he can tell us more about him. Lyndon, I'm not bragging
This is
about
where
any
you
of this.
hear some nonsense now. Okay, let's hear it.
Lyndon is honestly one of the earliest guitarists I saw when I was just learning. I did not know anything. Somebody just told me, put your finger here, here, here in these three places and play with me. I did that. Then I went to Dufton and I saw Lyndon playing Judas Kiss, I think, with I don't know who, and he had this black guitar with stars on it. And no kidding, I talk about that guitar. I talked to Bruce about it as well. So Lyndon, like one of the earliest guitarists I saw, like my age, and like I was like,
How
whoa,
disappointing, man.
dude, you guys were killing it. So Lyndon is a really good guitarist. I think he inspired a lot of folks
Not true.
in Madras, and yeah, definitely, super talented guy, super funny, and I've heard stories about his epic dares and pranks. So from reliable sources, I think while I was in college. If it's not true, I'll name them. But Lyndon, so glad to have you. He's a Percywakkam hero. I think there might be a statue of him.
For all the
Tell us
wrong
about you, dude.
reasons.
Who are you?
Look, man, that guitar actually is funny, because um, like if you want to talk about guitar, like for example, like I had no interest in music, and the only thing I know is hating country music, right? In later years, I started to appreciate every single thing,
Yeah,
and I really even enjoy country music now as well.
yeah.
So, the whole guitar thing came up because I ended up flunking 10th standard. I didn't want to study as a kid, and my mom had the hardest time convincing me to sit and study, right? She'd literally shed tears when I get my report card. Like she'd look at it and she'll say, "You study like 2 or 3 days before your exam and you're getting 50s and 60s and you're passing. If you spend some more time studying, you could be a bright student, but it never rang in my
Yeah.
head. And I wanted to do all sorts of other stuff, I wanted to fly kite, I wanted to race pigeons, all typical Anglo
Dude,
kids,
yeah.
all those things. And I did all of that, at one point. I used to race pigeons only in between the streets with friends and stuff, not like in a big way. But my uncle Alwyn, he was a very famous pigeon racer, and he
Oh,
had
really?
foreign birds and stuff like that. Yeah, he's very famous, Alwyn Baldrey. So yeah, back in the day, of course.
Yeah.
He and Banu Smith, if you know Banu Smith, he's
Mm-mm.
like a tiger, in Chennai. So one of the famous people in Chennai. So yeah, so they were like very good friends and stuff like that. So so I ended up flunking 10th standard because I didn't listen and I just didn't want to study. I just being, rebellious, And like I had nothing to do for the first 2 months that when you get your results and your number's not on the board and you're like so shamefaced, and then your mom's words are ringing in your ears. Like when I came back home, she asked me, "Did you pass?" And I said, "No, mom." And she said, "I told you all you needed to do was pay some attention at least a month before the
Yeah.
exam." So it rings in
Yeah.
my head like,
Which
and
subject did you flunk in? Which
I
was
flunk
it?
in math.
In math?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got like 31 and you needed 35 to pass. Everything
Yeah.
else was like 70s, man, and like
Yeah.
65. That
Yeah.
was like enough for me.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
not trying to be like
Yeah.
some bright, like first grader. But it was like a turning point for me in my life. Like I was like, I'm never going to be humiliated again because I'd already stitched my blue trousers for this higher secondary, you know. You go from khaki to blue. So,
Yes.
and I remember the boys, you know, like Fabian Martin, and they were like, okay, you can still wear it for church, you know. Yeah, but I was going to wear it for church anyway. So yeah, I'd look at my uniform and I would think that I'm never letting this happen again. Anyways, so that was the academic part, right? And then I don't know what happened, and we had this concert on my terrace, right? It was one of those Anglo-Indian get-togethers where out of nowhere a band shows up with like a drum kit, and it was Maiden Voyage,
Oh wow.
right? So they were very good friends with my dad and his brothers, and like very good family friends. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. My terrace is now a concert place, right? And I'm sitting, and then Ian Harvey turns up. I don't know if you know Ian Harvey. He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen out of Chennai. And he had such a touch that day. I was watching him play that I think it was a black Strat he had. And he was doing the wall sequence. And I was like, what the hell is this? I just sat in front, the first chair, and I just watched him play, and that was
Yeah.
it. I said, I
Yeah.
gotta learn, I gotta learn something like this thing on the guitar. So I kept bumming my grandma, my aunt, she's my godmother actually. I went to my mom, and my mom said, sorry, I've got enough money to put you guys into school. I don't have money for a guitar, right? And I kept bumming my aunt, and she was like elderly. She was my grandmother's friend. They go way back together. They used to live together. And she was my godmother, and she said, okay, I will buy you a guitar, but not yet. So suddenly, after 2 or 3 months, she said, I have the money, go and pick yourself a
Oh
guitar.
wow.
So I went to Shruti Musicals. I don't know anything about guitars, and I went and I picked the first Gibson that
Gibson.
sounded nice. Gibson, remember the
Yes.
Gibsons? Oh my gosh. So so yeah, and I picked up that acoustic guitar and I was making noise with it.
Was it
And
a
I did
semi
not
hollow? Or was it like was it acoustic? Just
proper
okay.
acoustic,
Okay.
no cutaway, nothing,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a country guitar,
Yeah.
you play acoustic standard. I was just making noise with it for a few days, and I told my mom, I want to learn from somebody who can teach me. And she was like, no, I don't have money for that. That was mom's kind of thing because we were not a very, rich or
Sure.
well-to-do family when we were kids. We just had like
Sure.
barely had ends meeting and stuff like that. So, and my dad says, there's this guy on, I think it was Vadamalai Street or something, and she said he plays in Pastor Sam's church, the one on the end of Mukatal Street. And he said he's a very good bass player, but he's left-handed, so you'll have to learn from him. He's left-handed, so I can ask him for you. Okay. And it ended up that he'd say, okay, 100 rupees. I'll teach your son to
Dang.
play guitar for 100 rupees. So, okay. So I told my mom, can you give me 100 rupees? And she said, I was going to the gym at that time, yeah. So I used to train like morning and evening. That was another craze at that time,
Yeah.
to go to the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
So she said, you can either go to the gym or you can learn to play guitar. I can't pay for that and this. So I said, okay, I have to figure out how to make this work. So I went to my gym instructor and I told him I don't have money. Do you mind if I stay and I coach some guys here, at least beginners, like how to lift and how to do it correctly?
Yeah.
He said, it's okay, man. You don't need to do anything. Come and work out for free. We'd been
Oh,
friends, but
nice.
we became friends like by then. So so I used to just help out wherever I could. And so that way I got to go for the guitar class. So I went for guitar classes for the first week. He was left-handed, but he knew how to play chords with the right hand for
Oh,
some
nice.
reason. So he'd
Yeah.
show me on the left hand, but the positions were all right-handed. It was pretty cool how he did that. And the guy was damn good. His name was Joel. I forgot his family name. His name is Joel, but he was a very good player. And the first song he taught me was House of the Rising Sun.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's way too many chords in that
Chords.
song,
Yes.
right? And they are quick changes. But
Yeah.
what that did for me was it made my hands learn to switch.
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I started picking it up very fast. And I think within 2 weeks, I had known all the chords that were needed in House of the Rising Sun, you know? So in that short time, he brought me through that. And then he told me, okay, I'm going to teach you Eye of the Tiger next. I was like, come on, that's not an easy song for a beginner. He says, no,
Yeah.
there's a reason I'm teaching you this, and that's to get your hand sync and stuff like that. Anyway, so 1 month goes, and I tell my mom, he's really good. I'm learning nicely. And she says, yeah, but I don't think I can afford your guitar classes now. And I said, why? You're not paying for the gym. And she says, yeah, but I've got to pay for
Yeah.
other stuff, so I think you should stop your guitar classes. I said, no, come on, give me at least 1 more month. So she said, okay, 1 more month. So in the next 1 month, I learned how to play Venus by Tom Jones. I don't know why, but that was where I got into bar chords, and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So
Yeah.
okay, with the Eye of the Tiger, I also got some bar chords in there. And after 2 months, she said, "That's it. No more guitar for you. If you want, you teach yourself. Learn how to play yourself." So that was all I had in guitar training. It was
Oh
two
wow.
months of basic stuff. So everything else was self-taught, and that's why I play so badly. Like I don't really, I'm not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
fluent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like before a concert, I was not the one of those kids who had naturally gifting. Like you had to
Yeah.
work for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So till
But
today,
surely that probably gave you your own unique style. If you had to record like 10 albums, people can pick out your style because you were forced to adapt. It would
yeah,
have probably influenced your style. People would be studying your vibrato, like, and you're like, I don't know,
correct.
I
You're
just
right.
did it
No,
because I
you're right.
don't have lessons, but that's how I did it. Y- You
Right.
know, you know. So all of this happened.
After
It
I
seems
flunked
like you.
10th, yeah.
It seems like you had a good time after flunking 10th.
I swear, man. I went, and then I was so bored. I finished. I cleared the areas, the
Yeah, yeah,
math, and after that I had to do something else because you had like another 6 or 7 months to go.
yeah.
And then I told my aunt I want to study something else, and she said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to learn electronics." So I went and I took a 6 month diploma in fixing TVs.
Oh, really,
Yeah, so
dude?
that's where I learned like the basics of motherboards and
Yeah.
uh, all those components and
And
stuff
that's
like
what you
that.
do now, right? You're into networking or something, right? Right?
Yeah,
Or
I work in
used to?
tech. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do a bit of everything. Like I juggle a few things at
Yeah.
work. But yeah, it's like there's no one word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
so
did you grow up in, was that your first house, the earliest memory? And how do the native Percywakkam people pronounce it? Did you say Percywakkam or do you say like
so we do it the Anglo way, which is Pursawakam.
yeah.
Pursawakam, yeah. It's like Purusaiwakam, I
Yeah.
think, in Tamil. So
Yeah. So
so
did you grow
but
up
we
there?
used to
Was
just
that
say Vepri mostly
Oh
because the
really?
area is called Vepri, right? So we used to say we're from Vepri.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So is that where you
yeah.
grew up? Is that your first
That,
house?
that that's where we've always lived in Vepri,
Hmm.
so we've always shifted around from street to street, but
Yeah.
we've always been based out of Vepri.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
is there
sounds
like
like
a
you.
good because of the school? I I don't know a whole lot of Anglos from Vepri other than only after joining Matthias, and Vepri is like Perswakam is this little town in it had the first mall, I think,
Yeah,
Waikiki complex, uh, which is probably like just 2 stories, but it's a
yeah,
small town in Madras, small streets. It's a busy town, and two big schools, Anglo-Indian schools close by, St. Matthias and Dufton
right,
Corrie. Dufton Corrie is both are pretty popular schools,
right.
um, and that's where Lyndon grew up. So, tell us about who was, because I was not familiar with that area till I joined Matthias. Then I came to know of like Fabian and Andrew and Kirk. Were you friends with them? Were like childhood friends, or did you know them only later on?
So Kurt was not a childhood friend, but I got to know when he was in the music circle
Yeah.
eventually. Then I got to know Kurt through, I think, 11th standard. And we always had this rivalry with
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
school versus this school, and especially if you keep winning. I used to keep winning. I got these certificates, man. I was showing my daughter the other day, and
Are you
and she was like,
listening,
"You
Kurt?
could play November Rain in school."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's my version of November Rain." I played in school. Yeah, so yeah, so it used to be a health. I mean, I thought it was a healthy competition, but
Yeah.
yeah, we ended up being good friends. He moved to the UAE as well, Kurt, and we used to hang out, jam together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now I don't know where he is. I think he's still in the UAE. Yeah, so it was a bunch of guys who I ended up. A lot of them we started out in Oakley Nursery when we were in kindergarten, which was also in the area in Wepbury. So a lot of them moved from there. It was, it was the thing to do, right? You go to this nursery and then they tied up with Dufton. So from
Yeah.
there you jump to there and then
Yeah.
you'd go through school
Yeah.
together. So I literally finished till I flunked the 10th. Everybody I'd studied with, the Anglo bunch for the most part was from Oakley,
Oh wow,
and we
that's
all
kind of
studied
cool.
all the way to the 10th.
Yeah.
And then these buggers went to the 11th, and I was still stuck at home. And it's like I was the junior now. And then I made a whole new bunch of friends, and that was also cool. And then we ended up also forming a band to play, and it
Yeah.
was fun. Yeah, we got some good stories out of the school
Yeah.
days, the best times, man. I'd
Yeah.
trade it
Yeah.
for
The best
for that
times.
anytime. I keep telling my daughter as well,
Yeah.
you need to you need to focus on your school. If you think school is like tough now, it's like one nail pricking your leg once you start working. It's like 10 or 20. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Life hits you in the face. Yeah, that was good times. I did not know how to play guitar. I think Kurt was the one who taught me how to play my first note. He
Uh,
just was forming a band for culturals, and he
right.
said we need a bassist. I like, sure, why not? And he took my finger and literally put like play these four notes with me, and I did not know what they were called. But next thing I know, I'm on stage. The lights are like flashing like a rock star. That's when I first saw you guys. I think I saw you and Fabian, and I felt like I was in a club. Of course, you guys knew how to play, but I felt like I just learned these four notes, and all of a sudden I'm on stage, lights are flashing, and everybody's rocking out, and I'm in the cool kids club now. That was yeah, but yes, I remember you guys were playing, and we all had fake names like.
Oh, yeah.
uh, we would throw in whatever other our favorite rockers like
Yeah.
in between name. That was
Absolutely.
hilarious.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember like I was trying to learn. Initially, I was just like learning to play guitar. I didn't think about being a lead guitar player or a bass
Yeah.
player or anything like that. I didn't know what that was, right? So I remember going to school, and I remember Fabian Martins. He was the one who actually learned before all of us, right? And then he said, "Hey, dude, do you know how to play guitar?" I said, "I'm learning." And he said, "I need someone to play bass for the culturals in German Hall." It was Leo Club, I
German
think.
Hall.
Yeah. I
Yes.
said, "What's a bass?" He said, "Bass, man, the one with the four thick strings." I don't know how to play that, man. He's like, "Okay, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, and this is what you need to do." And he said, "We're going to do Judas Kiss, okay?" And I said, "Okay." And then I went home and I listened to Judas Kiss on repeat. We had this two-in-one, right? And you can't understand what's going on, especially if there's distortion, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't separate. You can't tell what's going on. But I try to figure out, and then like with I don't have an amp at home,
Yeah.
so with my guitar, I'm putting my ear to the thing and I'm trying to learn, right?
Yeah.
He gave me this bass he had with him, and there was no electricity. I mean, there was no amp to play through, so I
Yeah.
had to put it through the body and try to learn Judas Kiss, right? So that's how I learned Judas Kiss, and went and he told me you're playing it all wrong, and he said, okay. So okay, then he was we were tuned down a different key, so I had to learn it on a different key altogether.
Oh,
So
really?
then he showed me whatever the basic stuff. It's an easy bass line on that song. So we went and we ended up winning second place, and I was like, wow, this is good. This is fun.
Yeah.
Like playing is fun enough,
Yeah.
but when you win, right, that's also a
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
thrill altogether.
Yeah.
And then we did. the second song, he said, okay, we're gonna have the Dufton Culturals next, but there I want you to play lead guitar. I was like, why? I don't know bass. You make me play
Really?
lead guitar. I said, what song are we doing? He said, we're gonna do Thief in the Night. I said, Thief in the Night. And he says there's a solo which comes in there, and I want you to play harmony there. So we started learning the harmony together, and that was not easy for me, man. Like playing that, it's too fast for me, right? But anyway, I was just committed that I wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be a guitar player.
yeah.
And then the day of the sport, I don't know what it was, sports day or culturals or what it was, but yeah, it must have been culturals. And then we played, right? And just as we're getting ready for the solo part, my hand starts sweating big time, right? And and then he looks at me and he says, "Okay," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And we start, and on the second note, the pick falls out of my hand because
Oh
it's all
man.
sweaty.
Yeah,
I was just like so nervous, right? And I
yeah.
had to play with my thumb for the rest of it. I don't know how the hell I managed it, but he said, "Yeah, it was okay."
Uh,
Got big blisters the next day on the thumb. Yeah, so that's how I got into playing guitar. Just like jamming with Fabian and Sheldon DeCosta was my brother-in-law now.
oh
So
really? I did not
so
know
yeah,
that.
yeah. So he's my brother-in-law, a killer guitar player.
Yes.
So so yeah, so that was how it went with me. And then I wanted to have my own electric guitar. And then I went back to my aunt and I was like, I want an electric guitar. And she's like, that's too expensive, my son. And I was like, but I want, if you can, thing. She said, okay, but it's going to take time. So eventually, a couple of years down the line, she said she had saved money for me to buy an electric guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, and that ended up being the guitar which I had, which eventually sold to Bruce.
The black guitar.
The black guitar with the
What guitar
stars.
was it?
It was a Tulsi guitar.
Okay.
So I went to Tulsi and he just made me a Strat-like guitar,
Yeah.
with three single pickups. And of course, when I got it, I was like, wow, this is awesome. At least I can now play stuff, right? Which
Yeah.
I couldn't do
Yeah.
on the neck, up the neck. But then I still don't have an amp, right? So I can't,
Yeah.
who do I ask for an amp? I don't have
Yeah.
anyone who I can ask for an amp. And then I went home with the guitar and I was practicing. And then suddenly I looked at this little stereo amp I had and it had a mic input there. I was like, okay, maybe this is gonna work. So I took the cable, put it, and I turned it, and I plugged it, and I blew the amp immediately. So now I'm scared because my dad's gonna kill me. We don't have any music at home. And then I didn't say a word, and then I had the electronics background. So I went, I pulled out the
Oh no.
multimeter, and I checked, and I saw, okay, I've only blown a fuse. So I switched the fuse, and the fuse was back. So I tried it again, but at very low volume. And it worked, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not using this amp unless I really have to.
Nice.
Yeah,
It
so that
paid
was it,
off.
man. Yeah, that's humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so when you're self-taught, I've realized a lot of things when you're self-taught, right?
Yeah.
You just We didn't have tabs, we didn't have the
Yeah.
internet, we
Yeah.
didn't have people. Well, you look at people like we'd go to like a Juravi concert. I'd look at Don and Murray playing,
Yeah.
and I was like, this guy's a god. How does he
Yeah.
do it? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how did he learn to play War that too, by
Yeah.
Satriani? I was like, this is killer stuff. So this is what motivated us, watching and
Yeah.
learning. And then you'd
Yeah.
go home and you'd try, and
Yeah.
I'd ask my mom, am I playing it right? And she's like, no. I remember when Fabian Martin had passed and gone to from the 12th, he'd gone out. I was in the 12th at that time, so I had to play the lead solos, right? So I ended up saying, okay, let's do Temple of the King,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's a solo which is not too complicated
Yeah.
unless you play it with all the nuances, which is like then it's not a straightforward solo.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'd ask my mom to hum it. So
Uh,
she'd hum it and I would play it. And then she'd say, no, there's a note in between there which is not right. So this
hmm.
is how I taught myself to play
Oh
guitar,
wow.
man. Yeah, that's
That's
it.
amazing.
Like I learned the whole Temple of the King solo eventually. And she said, there are 3 or 4 notes in there you need to fix.
Oh
And I could
wow.
never fix them because I didn't know what to do. So
Uh,
it just went with my version of Temple of the King.
yeah.
So
This was when you were in
my mom
12th?
used to play guitar as well.
Oh, nice.
She used to play like just rhythm. She
Yeah,
knew her basic chords,
yeah.
but that's all she could tell. You're right or you're wrong. So that's how I figured it out.
And
Yeah.
but this was when you were in 12th?
This was when I went to the 12th standard, yes.
Dude, but I think around this time was when I was watching you play, and like maybe I did not know anything. Like to me, like this dude is like killing it. Like you were like the yeah, you were killing it. You were like the it guy in the scene.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I watched these people play, right?
Yeah,
And I would sit and I would just try to crank out
yeah,
whatever is in my head that I can remember because for one, we didn't have a way to slow things down, right?
yeah,
So it's like multiple rewinds on cassettes,
yeah, yeah,
and it was hard.
yeah,
So whatever I could figure out, if
yeah,
I didn't know something, I'd ask like Fabian, what are you doing there, and
yeah.
he'd just like show me.
So you didn't
Because
take any lessons after that first.
till
That
date,
was
nothing. Till date,
for
nothing.
some
No.
reason. For some reason, I think I was trying. I think when I was in Matthias, or like when I got really interested in when I started, I was asking like, how did Lyndon, where did Lyndon learn from? Like I wanted to go and learn from that guy, and I think somebody told. I'm not sure who it was, but they told me like, and that's what I thought. Like they said like he had an uncle who was really good, uh, and
That
he
was Ian
taught you.
Harvey.
Ian Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't take any lessons from him.
I didn't take any lessons from him because he lived really far away and there was
Got
no
it.
way for me to commute. But every time I'd see him, right, I would pick
Yeah.
his brain.
Okay. Yeah.
Even to the point that after I got somewhat better at playing guitar,
Yeah.
like, and I would move to Dubai as well. I'd send him videos of some of the stuff I'm playing, and he'd critique me or he'd say, "That's damn good. You play Metallica better than me," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So uh, simple things. He used to tell me a lot of stuff like, it's not about playing fast. It's about playing correct.
Yeah.
Simple things like it's better to play correct than to play
Yeah.
fast. Just it's all about feel.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever used anything more than a fuzz pedal. He'd use
Mm.
just a clean guitar into the amp,
Oh,
and man,
oh my
you'd be
God.
walking into Ambassador Palava and you could say that's Ian.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just had that kind of a
Yeah.
touch on the guitar.
Yeah. I need a couple of reverbs and delays now to hide everything.
I swear, don't we all?
So how did you? So I was recently talking to another person, and I was saying like Anglo Indians, if you trace back in the family, there was somebody who raised pigeons and somebody who was boxing. There was either a boxer in the family or a pigeon.
Yeah, I
So how did
had
you
both.
get?
I had a boxer in my family as well. It's my uncle, dad's youngest brother. His name is
Yeah.
Errol.
Yeah.
So he and Tony Hawk were like very good friends, and they have their bunch of stories, and they
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
entertained
Yeah.
us. So yeah, so that's all I wanted to learn, man. How to play guitar,
Yeah.
how to build some muscle, and how to
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not fight like pick fights, but how to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like learn a martial art and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So these till today, these are my things,
Yeah.
and I ended up learning a martial art as well,
Oh, nice.
So
What did you study?
I learned Thai boxing,
Oh, nice.
Muay Thai, yeah.
Hmm.
So because I'd go to my uncle and I'd say, "Uncle, how do you punch?" And I don't know anything. I don't know how to fight. It's just so irritating, right? Because you'd watch the Bruce Lee movies and all of that, and
Yeah.
my uncle had a son as well, and we were crazy on martial arts. So we'd be practicing with each other what we're seeing
Yeah.
on the movie screen, right? And then you know this guy has actually fought in the ring, and you ask
Mm.
him like, how do you throw a punch? Is it like this way or is it like this way? And he's like, I don't know. I've never fought in my life. And then when I got older, I used to ask him, why the hell didn't you teach us? He's like, I didn't want you to go down the same road.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because once you learn thing, if you don't have
Yeah.
a mature mind, then you get
Yeah.
into fights for no reason,
Yep.
and you end up, bringing a lot of trouble your way. And it made
Yeah.
some sense, but I still have that grudge against him.
So tell us were you a big kite flyer? Were you crazy into it?
Man, that was my passion.
Tell us,
I think I probably failed because I was so crazy on kites.
yeah. Tell us your manja recipe. If it's not a secret anymore. What was do you
I
remember all
didn't
the
have any
ingredients?
secrets, but all I know was irrespective of what went into the manja, if you didn't have glass which was like talcum powder which you could put into
Yeah.
your skin and it's gone,
Yeah.
you're not going to do very well.
Yeah.
So we had a secret which was how to get the finest glass powder. And we would go to Pastor Sam's cemetery, right? We had a
Okay.
piece of a broken cross, right? A really heavy piece of marble, right?
Yeah.
And we wouldn't use tube lights and all that because it was just not it didn't give you enough glass for what we wanted to do. So we'd take maybe a Coke bottle or Thumbs Up bottle. Used to
Dang.
get
Okay.
not Coke
Yeah.
that time. Yeah, it was Thumbs Up or Gold Spot or something. Anything we see broken outside, like the baker store or something, we'd ask for these bottles, and these guys won't even understand what you want it for. So they just happily give it to us, and we'd go and we'd grind it on someone's grave.
No way.
Yeah, this is was the perfect place to grind, and it ground so fast, because marble on marble
Mm.
it was not smooth marble because of the
Yeah.
erosion over the
Yeah.
years, so it was perfect, man. We'd grind like a kg or two of glass in maybe 2 or 3 hours,
Dang.
and the glass was so fine it just needed very basic sifting, right? And on top of that, we'd sift it in water,
Mm.
so we'd mix
Yeah.
it in water and we'd pour away only the top part after maybe about 2 or 3 minutes. So
Yeah.
you really got such fine like glass. So that was in the early days
Yeah.
when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Like teenagers maybe.
Yeah.
That was when we would be cutting everybody in my area.
Yes.
We'd cut everybody.
Were you the guy to beat in your area?
I possibly, yeah,
One of the
possibly,
yeah.
because I know a lot of the Anglo boys like Leary and Shane Fernandez. They'd all come on Diwali day, on the
Yeah.
take a terrace next to
Yeah.
us, and
Yeah.
they'll be desperately putting deal with us. Sorry, guys, in case they watch, yeah. But we used to take a lot of people for a toss, and I think, yeah, I've had the distinction of, flying up your kite, like in the evening, like 4 o'clock, and
Yeah.
bringing it down at 7, like
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 times. That
Yeah.
means you cleaned everybody who came
Yeah.
under you.
Yeah.
So about three or
Yeah.
four times, and I still got one kite left, which I did 3 weeks in a row. The same kite, three
Yeah.
times. I got that in my uncle's house in India, and I told him I
What
don't
really?
ever really, yeah, I still got that kite. I told him I don't ever want you to sell this or let anybody have this. Just keep this as a
What was the
souvenir.
design? What is it? A bana
It
kite?
it was a neon green bird kite. It
A
was a
bird
neon
kite.
green with the eagle in the middle.
Was it a one sheet? Is that what it?
It was one sheet. Yeah,
One
it was a
sheet.
one sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. One sheet is the
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the big boy kites when
The
you
big
were
boy.
kids, right? Yeah. I used to love flying Bombay kites though. Bombay
Yeah.
kites are the most fun for me.
Yeah.
Even after flying big kites, I still enjoy Bombay kites
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But the real fights, the battles in the sky was with the big kites. Those were
Yeah.
fun, man.
Did you make your own kites, or
No,
did you
no, I
ever get
never,
into
I
that?
never made my own kites. I was very fortunate because Uncle Errol, he knew people in the tournament,
Oh
the kite
wow.
tournament
Yeah.
industry
Yeah.
who made like perfect kites. You
Yeah.
really need very minimum like, adjustments. You fly it up and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And he'd also get us really good thread, so we didn't need to even put manja, so it really helped us practice.
Oh, there's a
And
unique thread for the tournament, not the regular
oh
one
yeah, yeah,
reel
yeah,
that you buy.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they do they have their own recipe and it's called
Yeah.
rubbing manja. I don't know if you've heard
Rubbing
about
manja.
rubbing
Yeah.
manja, yeah.
Dude, I put
So
rubbing manja in my house one day. Like the whole bed, like inside the house, my mom and dad was so mad. They all had to like duck inside the house. The whole house was like thread wrapped around.
yeah, I used to have this guy. He was a criminal actually. Yeah, his name I forgot his name also. Poor guy. He was a really nice guy, and he used to rub manja. So
Yeah.
I'd ask him to rub for me, and he'd do it in Pastor Sam's cemetery. It was all in Pastor
Dude,
Sam's
the
cemetery.
cemetery. Maybe that's the trick. That's
That
the secret,
I'll tell
maybe.
you,
The
man.
cemetery.
Yeah, so he used to rub in Pastor Sam's cemetery, and because he was a thug, nobody would tell him not to do it there. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
he was wanted for like all sorts of crimes, but he was a nice guy. Yeah, so We used to have some good fun, man. Really, that was entertainment. I remember once we were having band practice, right? And we would practice every single day for a month. The cemetery, I'm talking about Cemetery Boys, right? So
Is
we
that why you
practice.
named your band Cemetery as well?
We all lived near the same cemetery,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So eventually, I don't know how the name came about. I still don't remember. I think maybe Sherry might know how we came up with that. But eventually, we all settled on cemetery, and that was it. And all of us lived near the cemetery. So
Yeah.
it was not uncommon for us to go and check out, names
Yeah.
from the graves, look up, quotes, try to write that into a song, stuff like that.
Let me intro. Like, I want to talk about Cemetery. So, people who don't know, Lyndon formed this band, or was part of this band Cemetery. That was initially, I think he played kind of some heavy music, but then I think you guys branched off into really heavy music, which set you guys apart. First of all, everybody was like just talented musicians. Like I was speaking with Mario Figrid recently, and I was saying like there was this pockets of Madras that would be like Nashville. You'd find Nashville musicians, right? Like, but people just good. But Cemetery was like that, like really good musicians. Set themselves apart because you guys just played. You ended up playing heavier music as you progressed. Yeah, and your stage show, like you guys were just like mean looking guys on stage, but you'd come down and there's like this the guys with the biggest smiles. But this is who Cemetery is, and so let's talk about. I think if you look at the history of rock in Madras, right? If it was documented or somebody did a documentary, they'll definitely have to talk about like Blasphemy, Mario's band, Cemetery, the foundation, right? In you
Yeah.
guys played a big part in that, in the foundation. Um, of course, sitting on top of what others have done before you, but those were the early days. So tell us about Cemetery. So you don't know how you got the name, but who was in the band?
So, yeah, it was Sherry Sheridan Francis. So he had this idea of putting a band together with Eugene, who was our singer. I don't know how I ended up getting to jam with these guys, but they asked me to come over one day and jam, and we ended up playing some Maiden, I think. Some Maiden song. I don't remember which song it was. And we were friends anyway from small. So the only thing that Cemetery ever wanted to do was play fast and make noise. And the stage show had to be good,
Yeah.
even if we were playing rubbish. Okay, so given our minimum resources, right, we had the like limited resources. Sherry was
Yeah.
damn lucky. His dad was in the Gulf, so he
Yeah.
had he had a guitar, which was a Les Paul copy, and that was a good guitar actually. Even till today, that's a good guitar. And he had like this two-in-one system, but it actually had speakers in the bottom that you could actually play guitar through. So
Oh, nice.
it was pretty cool. So we'd use that to jam and record and hear ourselves back and stuff like that. And had two inputs. What more can you ask for, you know?
Yeah.
So uh, that's all we knew, man. And I went and jammed with these guys, I think, and then they said, okay, you can play. And then we didn't have a bass player, so we had a concert in Stanley Medical coming up. So we said, okay, we're gonna do something nasty. We're not gonna be this average band who turns up with Australia t-shirts and plays some stuff, you know? No, we're gonna play something and it's gonna be different. Even if we don't play properly, we make like some nonsense,
Yeah.
we're still gonna do it.
Yeah.
So okay, so we go and we turn up, and then Fabian Johnson was our drummer. Um, and we used to pull his leg a lot because he was younger than us.
Yeah.
So he was like the Jason Newsted of Cemetery. He was just like 3 years or 4 years younger than us. So we used to always tease him that we're going to replace him with Mario Doyle from Perambo, who was a very good
Ma-
drummer. And we still laugh about it till today. He's telling Macha, don't go and kick me out and you get another drummer. Like when we talk about it, we laugh and joke when we sometimes catch up over beers and stuff like that. Yeah, so we went to Stanley Medical, Fabian was having a high fever that day. But we just jumped into an auto. We took two guitars, no bass guitar, yeah? Eugene, Sherry, myself in the auto, and we went, stopped outside his house, and he said, I have high fever. I said, we said, just come. So we go, and we go and we register and up, and we go and pull the lots, and we are first. And we hated getting the number one because the sound is never set by them.
Yeah.
Prithvi or
Yeah.
Johnny or whoever it is always doing some nonsense.
Dude, I'm impressed that you remember all these names. Like you're just throwing. You don't have
I
to
know,
think.
man. You know how
Yeah.
it is. Stuff you did when you were a kid, right? That
Yeah.
sticks in your head. But
Yeah.
what you ate yesterday, you can't remember. I don't know how that works, but I think
Yeah.
your brain has a different kind of wiring
Yeah.
when you're young or something like that. So so we go and we get the first. We're the first on stage, and who's the judges? I think it was Jim Satya and Timmy. You know Timmy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all the hot shots,
Yeah.
of that time. So we go up and we start with It's So Easy, Appetite. We
Yeah.
just
Oh
wanted to
wow,
be
really?
we wanted to be like Guns N' Roses, like
Yeah.
we don't care what you think.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And the plan was at the end of It's So Easy, Sherry and I are going to put both our guitars together. We were both playing rhythm, both playing six strings. Yeah, we don't have bass, right? So we're both going to put our thing in a cross and we're going to scrape the strings together and make a crazy sound. Oh my God, halfway through the song, I can only hear one guitar. Sherry was moshing so hard, he didn't realize his cable has come out of the amp. And then I tried to get his attention. I was like, dude, the cable has come out. So he goes and he plugs it back and he comes back and we start jamming again. And then at the end of the song, we put this and Sherry is on fire. He just scraped it so much, all the skin from my fingers came off. I'm like, oh my God, I'm bleeding. How do I play the next song? So we played the second song. I forgot what the second song was, but I can't forget this part of it. And we got up the stage and we were like, man, that was kick-ass. And then years later, I remember running into Timmy after we had, I think we won at Stanley Medical or one of those colleges. And he said, man, the first time I saw you guys playing in Stanley Medical, I thought you guys were a bunch of jokers or something to that extent, right? I'm paraphrasing here. And he
Yeah.
says,
Yeah.
but now you guys can probably play like metal even better than us. I was like, man, Timmy, that's so kind of you. It was nice to hear that from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our first gig. PJ had high fever. Of course, we made a total fool of ourselves. But in our minds, freaking, we rocked.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That was the standard.
Yeah.
We don't care. We don't do anything like properly and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But we need to have a good time. That was
Yeah.
all it was about. But eventually, when we got this little practice room in Percywakkam, some uncle, I don't know who it was. It was a corridor, man. Like maybe uh, 2 meters by 2 meters
Hmm.
or 3 meters by 2 meters or something like that. It was just like a corridor he lived in, but he had gone for like a month. And I don't know where we got stuff. We put it all together and we just practiced there every day for 3 to 4 hours. That's all we did over the summer holidays.
As a band,
Every
yeah.
single day, we just played and we had like a set list of like 10 songs or something
Yeah.
like that. So that's why every gig we could play maybe one new song or two new songs or something like that. We
Hmm.
never kept the same old set the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
guys killed it. I remember in Loyola, you guys played Wherever I May Roam, I think.
yeah,
And you played, I think you guys were, at least that was I was still early in my thing, right? And you guys were playing Metallica, and I was like, whoa, these guys are playing Metallica, the untouchable, for people
right.
just learning it.
Yeah,
Like, these are like untouchable songs, and you're playing it, and you're playing it so well.
right.
And Fabian is just such a hard-hitting drummer, right? The guy is
Yeah,
just
man.
so tight.
Prithvi used to hate his guts. Oh my
Yeah.
God. He used to say, Tambi konjam molla maadi. Every time PJ is going to drum, Prithvi's guy will come and tell him, please, sir, konja கொஞ்சம் மோளமா
Yeah.
eventually he tore so many kettles, man, this
Yeah.
guy of
Yeah.
Prince Prithvi and Johnny. And then the guy who's the band's playing next, they don't have a kettle, they need to find a second one, you know.
Yeah.
That's how he played, you know. He used to
Yeah.
play heavy. He had heavy hands, but
Yeah.
it sounded good, you know,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
know, when
Yeah.
your tempo is like solid with locking in with the bass, it sounded good. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you guys find that awesome bassist that you finally ended up with?
So Shannon was our first bassist. Shannon came to my house once. Shannon was my uncle, another uncle's nephew. So he brought Shannon over and he said, "Can you teach? Do you know Shannon? Have you
Yeah.
heard of Shannon?"
Yeah.
So yeah, so Shannon, killer player as well,
Yeah.
by the way. And he has a great voice. I didn't know he could sing this well. You just hear him on Facebook, and I was like, this guy has such a good voice.
I think
But
he was the meanest guy on stage. Everybody, you guys were having fun, but Shannon had this persona, like
Shannon was like possessed.
with his
He would stare at you like he was possessed.
yes,
Oh my God. We used to call him Thug, you know, because Shannon was a thug,
yeah,
right? So, and so my uncle brought Shannon and said, "Can you teach Shanu to play some guitar?" So I I took out my guitar, and the first thing I taught him, and until today we laugh about it, was "Ek do teen." I was like, how do I teach somebody who doesn't know anything about the guitar, right? And so the first thing was easy on one
yeah,
string, right?
yeah,
So ek do teen, I taught him the the three chords, I mean the notes.
yeah.
So he played ek do teen, and that was his foray into music. I
Nice.
feel really bad that I couldn't teach him anything better, you know, at
From
times. So
Ekdoteen to killing it with Slayer.
I swear, man. From where to where? And then Shannon actually also a very dedicated musician.
Yeah,
He really put in the hours, you know. So eventually, that's how you know, Shannon was playing with Kurt, I think, at some point, because Shannon and Kurt were of the same age group or from the same. I don't know how they were closer to each other because they were. I think they lived next to each other as well. So eventually, I think Shan was playing with Kurt and Ryan and Graydon, I think, with that band.
Graydon.
Yeah,
Dang, I totally forgot about Graydon.
yeah. So I think Shan was jamming with them. And then one day we asked Shan to come and jam with us, you know, just for the heck of it. And he
Yeah,
came and we were jamming on my terrace. And we had the kit and everything set up. So we were jamming on a terrace, and Shannon turned up and he played bass. And immediately we knew that this guy is the guy for us,
yeah,
right? And so we ended up jamming together. And since then till today, Shannon and Cemetery, we have like a proper, like, you know, like a
yeah,
really good friendship
yeah,
from that day. It was
yeah,
crazy how it instantly you knew, you know,
yeah,
that this is the guy for your
yeah.
band kind of
I
thing.
think part of your success, you know, and your, like I was saying, your stage presence, and it came out in your sound, because I think you guys had a good, and still today, right? It's evidence you guys had a good. You were just best friends playing in a band and having fun,
That's
right?
all it was.
Yeah, and that's that. It came out in your music. You know, it your relationship was so good. I still remember hanging out, sitting just between sets, sitting on, like, you guys used to laugh and joke all the time.
That's all
Uh,
it was, man. We were on
yeah,
a high from that, you know. We
yeah,
just hang out together the whole time,
yeah,
right? That's all we knew. These five guys,
yeah,
just friends,
yeah,
talking nonsense, just being boys, and you know,
yeah,
like musically,
yeah,
you know, all connected.
yeah,
And like till today, like when we sometimes get onto these WhatsApp call, you know, we just
yeah,
have like a group
yeah,
chat. It's
yeah,
still the same old, like, things haven't changed. Everybody's got their own life, but it's, you know, you
yeah,
still got that camaraderie going and stuff like
yeah,
that, with which we started years and years ago. So once Shannon joined the band, then our sound really started coming together. We were not perfect musicians by any chance, but we did the best that we could with what we had,
sure, yeah,
right?
absolutely,
Looking back, I wish I was more dedicated because I had way too many interests. Like I told you, working out, flying kites.
yeah,
Like, I won't forget, never forget this incident. My hair was like super long at that
yeah,
time. and we were jamming at this little uh, 3 by 2 room we were jamming in, and I had had enough. It was like 4:30, and I could hear the kite sounds in the air, right? So I told the guys, okay, man, if you want to jam, we'll do it tomorrow, but I need to go and fly kite. It's Sunday. And they were like, no, you're going to stay and jam with us. I said, I am not staying. I got to go fly kite. They would not have it. And I took off my guitar and I jumped on. No, I walked home. These dudes, I don't know what plan they got together. They all followed me home and they grabbed me and they started trying to pull me back to go and jam. I think we were going to play maybe a gig was coming up. I think there was one gig we played. I think either with Jaravi or somebody. I don't remember who it was. I think it was that gig when it was coming. So they wanted to be like perfect, you know.
Yeah.
But me, no. I got to fly kite. The next thing I know, I've got Sherry, I've got Eugene, and I think Sherry and Fabe. I'm probably Shannon, not Eugene. Eugene was like the decent one. So they grabbed me and they would not let me go. And then they grabbed all my t-shirt and stuff like that. And they pulled my t-shirt. So I took off my t-shirt, right? And I'm standing. I didn't realize my hair is like long and I'm in a t-shirt and I was wearing like jeans, I think. And and they said, you want your t-shirt, you come for practice. Otherwise, you walk home bare body. And I chose to walk home bare body. So I walked all the way home bare body, you know. That's how much I care about kites, you know. So I would not miss a day to fly kites. I just
Yeah.
loved it too much.
Yeah. I
So
love
yeah,
kites as well, man. Do you remember Neil Pepin from Matthias? He studied with me.
I've heard of Neil and Jude Papin, but
Yeah.
I've never really like got to meet them and
Neil, I
hear.
think Neil used to drum. So when we were in Matthias, Neil used to drum. I was playing bass and Kurt played
Right.
guitar. Andrew was singing. So Neil was like the Perimbo kite hero. One of the
Oh,
Perimbo
right,
had like many like if you've ever watched like Lord of the
right,
Rings and they light the torches and you see every hill has a torch like that. Every terrace there'll be like Neil was
right.
one of his dad and were like big time guys. So it would have been awesome if you guys had to know each other, have a little kite.
Was his dad named Brian by any chance?
I don't remember.
Brian Pepin? No?
I don't know. But he also used to raise pigeons on the terrace.
Oh,
And
right.
but I used to go to Neil's house, and you can tell by the kite. You can say Neil will. I'll be standing with him, and he'll say, "Oh, looks like Russell's starting to fly," and they'll like the local heroes. Fun times, dude. Me too. The first season of
Man, that's
first
what
day of
I'm
kite
so
season.
disappointed till today
Yeah,
that Chennai has
yeah,
stopped kite flying. I mean,
yeah,
come on, that is part of your heritage. How do you do that?
yeah,
You got to have some control, right? Like putting an end to it completely is like killing off your own heritage,
yeah,
right? So, I mean, I understand the dangers and stuff of it, but have it in a controlled
yeah.
environment. You know, do
Have you
something.
have you ever tried explaining kite flying to a Westerner who flies the kites at the beach with?
I'm like, come on, it's just. I don't even bother. But actually, this New Year's,
Yeah,
I went to an Indian grocery here in Dubai, and they were
yeah,
selling Bombay kites. I
yeah,
said, you know what? I'm gonna buy 3 of these because
yeah.
I have some thread at home, which I bought a long time ago from Pakistan. And Pakistan is a great kite flyers, by the way.
Yeah,
So so this New Year's, I put a tail on a kite and I flew it up and I gave my kid to enjoy it. I said, this is a proper kite.
yeah,
Hold it. And
yeah,
she was like, she was
yeah,
enjoying it, you know. It
yeah.
was like,
That
so
first
yeah.
feeling, man. I
Oh
remember
my
going.
God.
I'm not sure whose terrace it was. It was an older. This dude was probably. I was young, and this was he was probably 12 or something, and he was flying a kite, and he needed to go somewhere. He said, "Hold the string," and I think it was a one sheet, and I held it. It was like so. It was like such a rush holding this beast
Yeah,
that was,
stiff, man.
yeah, such a good feeling.
Yeah,
So yeah,
my
tell me.
dad was the one actually who was a great kite flyer.
Oh, really?
Among all his brothers, he was like a hell of a kite flyer.
Yeah,
Like he'd enjoy these deals where there are 7 or 8 people
yeah,
on you, you know. He would he was damn good, man.
yeah,
So when I was a kid, he used to actually encourage me as well, you know, and like putting manja for me and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah,
So he was the kite flyer, like in the family. And on our terrace, when we were kids, I had watched what my dad was doing, and he was a hell of a
Yeah.
flyer.
Yeah.
So yeah, thankfully I've never had to fly against him, so I don't know what my chances would have been. But yeah, but in later years, when I watched how these guys, they've really like changed how things fly and like some really interesting
Yeah.
techniques, where they just bring it and they hold it and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Those things we never learned when we were young, right?
Yeah.
But I watched these guys, very interesting. Not as exciting, but just
Yeah.
when you hold and it's
Yeah,
gone and
I've
stuff.
seen some YouTube videos and it is insane. Maybe they are tournament players. I don't know, but they are super aggressive the way they
Yeah,
pull it down. It's like very
yeah,
like jerky motions. It's like
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, it's wild,
I
man.
don't know, but there's just something beautiful about eight kites rolling
Yeah,
together, man. The sky,
yeah,
there's just
yes,
something special about that.
yes,
Yeah, and then you go down and you bring your kite up, and that's just,
yeah,
I mean, how do you enjoy? Okay, it's
yeah,
it's nice if you just,
yes.
it's, they call it you sniffed him. You sniffed him. Now when you think of it, that's kind of nasty. I took him for a
Yeah,
sniff.
add that when you explain kite flying to like
Exactly.
a Westerner.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, that was my thing into kite flying. Like, and like uh, dad grew up in this place called Salt Cutters,
Dude,
right? When
that
they were
sounds so
kids.
familiar. I've what? Tell me about salt. What is salt cutters?
Salt Cutters was just this depot where all the trains
Where
parked.
is that?
It's near Central Station. It's
Oh, real?
about
Oh,
two
okay,
or three
okay,
kilometers away. It's by
okay,
Basin Bridge. I don't
okay.
know if you know Basin Bridge.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was this place called Matthias Railway Colony, which had come up there. So all the railway Anglos and other people also used to live there. But when they were kids, my grandpa used to work for the municipality, the Ripon buildings.
Yeah.
He used to work for
Oh,
the
really?
corporation, and he had a really nice post there and stuff like that. So they gave him like a villa in this area, and there was the Madras Zoo next to it as well,
Oh, nice.
right? So for us as kids, it was just like heaven to go to this
Heck
place
yeah.
called the zoo.
Yeah.
So you'd go there when you're a child, you'd enjoy some fishing from the lake, right? And then you'd check out all the animals. And at 3 o'clock, the kites started from Washerman Pet.
Mm.
All the tournament
Yeah.
flyers, after the
Yeah.
tournament season was over, they'd go and fly in Washerman Pet, and all the kites which go off would come into the zoo.
Oh,
And
nice.
man, we'd catch kites. It was not uncommon for me to have 80 to 100 kites, like tournament kites,
Really?
in my loft. Like every single year, it was in my uncle's loft. My uncle lived one
Dang.
apartment above us. And I'm telling you, these kites, right? They are tested kites, right?
Yeah.
Like the following year, right? You'd take them out of this paper bag we'd make and you'd fly it up. You wouldn't have to do a thing.
Hmm.
They just fly,
Yeah.
right? If you got some cockroaches biting them or something, it might side a little bit, but you
Yeah.
put one side cloth, you stick it, and it's done, man. They were beautiful kites, and we
Yeah.
used to get them for free, and the thrill of
Wow.
running for kites. I don't know if you
Yes.
watched the Kite Runner, the movie. I watched it only last week.
No.
So the Kite Runner is about this kid who used to run after kites. It's a good story, actually. So I didn't know that's what it's called. Like you're a kite runner. So we used to be kite runners as well, and we
Yeah.
used to
Heck yeah.
catch all these kites and tournament thread, right? The
Yeah.
rubbing manja,
Hmm.
and we'd have balls like that of tournament thread just kept, right? So we literally when you fly against small kids and young kids in your
Yeah.
area who are putting hand manja, right?
Yeah.
They don't have a chance against you,
Yeah.
especially if you have some decent technique.
Yeah.
So we were very lucky like that when we were kids, and that's why it became like a craze,
Yeah.
like a
Dang.
complete craze.
Yeah. I used to make my own kites, and I remember I was probably a better kite maker than a flyer. I was decent. But I made one kite. I don't know how I did it, but when it started rolling, it would go up, and I was like, "This is it. This is the magic kite." Maybe,
That's it.
yeah,
We used to
that's it.
we had only a few like those kites. I don't know
Yeah,
what made it do that.
yeah,
They probably have figured out the physics of it
yeah,
now, but
yeah,
it was very difficult to find kites like that
yeah,
rolled and went up. Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, dude, I was like, it was my pride and joy. Like the kids at the side of me, I used to fly. Well, we call it a Maidan, but it was like this playground right opposite my house. I fly there, and that was such a rare thing. I still remember that kite. I Unfortunately, I lost it. But dude, that was like a magical moment if in a kite flyer's experience of flying kites. Dude, I loved it.
Yeah, we had people come like from our street, the street boys,
Yeah,
all same kite flying boys. And you all chat and stuff when you're
yeah,
downstairs. They'd come and they say, that's my uncle, give kites. And we are like, me and my cousin Sean, we're like, don't give them the kites. They're going to lose it. He'll say, it's okay, man, let's share with them. Like, okay, so they'd give them two kites. It's like, why are you giving them two kites? Give one kite. So he'd give two kites. They'd go to their terrace and they'll try to come and cut us again. And then we're going to look at my uncle and say, now you see, I'm going to have to cut your kite. They're cutting our own kites, and that's exactly what they do. Like, why do you come and put a deal with us?
yeah,
Right? Go and fly and enjoy elsewhere. You know you're going to lose your kite
yeah,
if you come and thing with us. And then every single time, they just had some cheap thrill if they cut us.
yeah,
Sometimes you
yeah.
get cut, right?
You-
That's it. They talk
yep,
on the Dora, on the
yep.
Dora. Well, it's so funny, and eventually, I remember after I'd left to Dubai, I really missed Diwali. Diwali day,
Yeah, yep,
I'd be like
yep.
killed with nostalgia, like to the point I won't feel like eating because I know the boys are flying at this
Yeah,
time
yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, and then
Michaelmas
eventually
holidays.
I planned going back to India around Diwali time just so I could fly.
Oh
And
wow.
it was great. That's when my uncle, he told me he'd got some special thread from his friend, and he said we'll test this out on Sunday on Diwali. And he brought out this bird kite, which I was telling you about, the
Yeah,
green bird kite, right?
yeah, yeah.
I swear, man, I flew that kite up, and I hadn't flown in a long time.
Mm.
So I was nervous, right? So the first deal I had that afternoon, my hands were
Oof.
shaking, because I had a
Yeah,
thing, and I thought I was going to be cut as well.
yeah.
I was getting hammered, like I didn't judge the length and all, but very soon I got used to it. And when we pulled that kite down that evening, my uncle went the following day to a Washerman Pet. They used to have Jay and Chelappa making all these kites. They're very famous kite makers in
Hmm.
Washerman Pet. And he ran into someone there, and someone asked him, "Anglo, Aninga, are you Anglo? Are you from Percywakkam?" He said, "Yeah." Yesterday there was this bald guy. Nobody has seen him before. And there used to be a kite flyer named Iyengan at that time. He
Hmm.
was the tournament champion that time, and I ended up cutting Iyengan, and I didn't even know that,
Oh really?
right? So Iyengan told his gang of kite flyers,
Yeah, yeah.
go and stand near his house. When his kite gets cut, I want you to bring me some thread. I want to see what thread he's flying with. It never went off this evening. The following week, again, I repeated it, man. I brought that kite down. And then on the third week, I brought it down again a third time. And my area, right, Kosapet,
Yeah.
where I was staying at that time, everybody gathered after the tournament season to come and fly there. So you'd fly against good flyers,
Ooh.
you know? So
Yeah.
so one was you learn to get better. You'd lose your kites for sure,
Yeah.
right? But for some reason, luck favored me that time, and probably that thread was really good as well.
Yeah.
So, I had some edge. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
man, like, you come home, your hands are like
Yes.
bloody, like
Yes. Yes.
completely like sliced. And then me and my
Yeah.
cousin would see who has more
Yep.
cuts.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
we
cut through the
count
band-aids.
109, 110, 111. So,
Yeah.
so now when something snicks you, right, and it's like hurting, and you're like, how the hell did I
Yeah, I
take
know.
all those cuts?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a paper cut. Like what the heck? It hurts so bad. Like
yeah,
start of
exactly.
kites, your index finger is like just
Gone,
ripped, shredded.
gone.
Yes.
Yeah, and then this part of your
Yeah.
finger, your little finger, that
Yes.
one, man,
Oh
and you hold it
yeah.
tight. Oh my God,
Yes.
that hurt like crazy.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's like
so
it's like sharp, sharp. You just shift it and you keep flying. Snip. You just move it and you keep flying.
yeah,
Dude, I'm
my
so
dad,
glad to
right?
talk about kites. I haven't talked about kites in ages.
You
I'm
know,
so glad we're talking about
there's
kites.
the Pakistani community is having this Lohri festival. I think it's spring festival
Where do you
on
stay now?
Sunday.
Are you in
I
Pakistan,
live
right?
in Dubai. No, I live in
Okay.
Dubai now.
Okay.
So it's a very multicultural community here. So
Yeah.
the Pakistani community celebrates this festival called Lohri. I think it means spring or something like that. And they have a kite festival every year. So this year I know it's on Sunday, so I'm gonna go. and you can buy thread and kite and you can fly there. And you should see, man, the first time I went to this festival in Dubai, there were girls flying, okay?
What?
I was like, yeah, there were
Unheard
girls
of.
flying. They were dressed up nicely, like pretty girls. And I was about what, 23 at that time. I was like, these chicks are hot. I'm gonna fly kite with them. I went and I could not cut a single one of them. They were so damn good. I was like, what the hell? Have I forgotten to fly? And eventually I cut one of the girls and I was so happy. I was like, I cut a girl. No, but really, they're also they also got their manja down to a science, like
Yeah.
very good thread they have.
Yeah.
So I ended up keeping some thread which I bought from
Oh,
Pakistan,
wow.
that place. Yeah, I've got it
Yeah.
at home, and it's very fine. So when I don't know what they do, but when you actually leave, like even with the stiff kite, you feel heat, but it doesn't cut your fingers.
Oh,
So I don't know
really?
how that's possible.
Huh.
So I don't know if they've got something else other than glass, or I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but
Man.
man, it works great, man, when you fly with that thread. That time,
Yeah.
then I started cutting everyone. I was like, okay, I don't know what's in this thread, but it's damn good.
That's so cool, man. So it's legal in Dubai. You can fly only
Eh,
on that day.
on that day, that's
Got
it.
it.
Nobody else flies kites.
That's
They
fair.
fly all the Chinese kites and all of
That's
that
fair.
on the
I'll take
beach and
that.
all that.
In Madras, if they brought back like one day, like that movie where everybody goes indoors and they kill everybody, like a mob, whatever movie that is, like one
That's
day,
it, man.
give us
It's
some.
one day, right?
Yeah.
Go to some deserted place, where
Yeah.
there's just fields, open fields or something.
Yeah.
Fly there. Let the people
Yeah.
fly. Don't.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you start like putting like complete restrictions, then people
Yeah.
will start doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
It's like with every other thing.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
so I've only heard these stories, Lyndon. So you need to confirm it or add more context that you would not back down from a dare. And I'll tell you, there was this person who dared you to beg on a train. Is that true? That you started singing, you pretended you were blind, and
yeah,
and you started singing on the
yeah.
electric train, and you were
Oh yeah,
begging. Did you get
yeah. I've
money?
done that.
And tell me about that. How did that come to be?
We'd do anything, man. Like I said, anything for a laugh, right? It was all harmless fun.
Yeah.
So we'd done some crazy things. Even my sister, I remember once, we were play fighting, and she caught and she tore my shorts, right? To the point that my underwear was like short, and she said, "Okay, now go on the street." I don't even remember if I was wearing underwear at that time, but she shredded my.
Yeah.
We used to wear those Bermudas, like
Yeah.
loose
Bermudas.
Bermudas. She shredded it, and she
Yeah.
told me, "I dare you to go outside." I went outside. So I did stuff like ridiculous stuff. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I would not back down. That's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So do you
Yeah,
remember
so
that
this I think
incident
was
of
must have
begging?
been during the college days because that's when we went on the train,
Because
and
Timmy was the one who told me
yeah,
that
yeah,
story.
yeah. I remember. I think that. Oh my God, Timmy, Timmy, good old Timmy,
So
Timmy. Did he
yeah,
also tell
Timmy.
you how I pulled him off a train?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Was Timmy?
brutal.
Yeah. Tell me about that story. But was Timmy? Did he stay in the same area as you guys? No, right?
So Timmy lived in Percywakkam as
Oh,
well.
really?
Yes.
Okay. So you've known him
So
for a while
Timmy's mom,
then.
yes, Timmy and
Okay.
I went. So Timmy was my new batch of friends when I had gone to the
God.
11th standard,
Yeah, okay.
right? So his mom was our economics teacher, Mrs. Vanderput. Super nice lady, super tough, but super nice. Um, so yeah, so Timmy and Dave and Kevin Lee and all these other boys, they were also crazy kite
Yeah.
fellas. Well, I'd see them flying occasionally, and I'd say, "Man, you guys really want to see kites? I'm gonna take you to this place called the zoo. Come with me to the zoo, and we'll go and catch kites." He said, "What do you mean catch kites? You just come." So we reached the zoo, Timmy, Kevin, Dave, and myself. And I said, "There's only one thing you got to remember here. Don't run across the railway tracks.
Yeah.
All right? This is the only thing you don't do, right? Because
It was
there are
active tracks. Yeah.
active tracks. This
Okay.
I'm talking like live lines, right? Going from Central all the way out
Oh,
into
wow.
Arkonam and Katpadi and all those places, right? So the trains were fast there. All right. So and I know because we've been doing this since kids
Sure.
that there are times where you're looking up at the sky for the thread
Yeah.
and there are tracks in front of you.
Yeah.
So it's not It's not dangerous. It's not safe because one is you get caught up in the moment of
Yeah.
kites. It's a craze.
Yeah.
And the other thing is those tracks they shift as well, so you can trap your leg in there. And
Yep.
I know because one of my, I think it was my uncle who got his
Oof.
leg stuck in there, but
Yeah.
thankfully he was wearing those chappals,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he could slip it out of there,
Mm.
easily. And the train just went through after a few seconds, a few minutes after
Oof.
that, So it was a close one. So yeah, so all I said to them was, just don't run across the tracks, and you will have the freaking fun of your life catching kite and thread like you to your heart's extent. Man, it was not even 5 minutes, and I saw a kanka kite come off. Okay, and it was about half kilometer down. So I ran after it, and I caught the kite, and I was trying to pull it down because it was very high, right? And I think it was Dave who came running to me, and I see Dave running. I was like, what's this guy coming to me for? I said, okay, good, he can help me to roll up the thread. And then he says, come soon, come soon. I said, what happened? Something's happened to Timmy. That's it, man. My heart sank immediately
Oof.
because the only thing that you can think of is the damn train hit him,
Yeah.
and there's no, recovering from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I am freaking praying to all sorts of saints and all that when I'm running back. I left the kite. I left that kanka kite to go. I let it go, and then I started running back. My heart's pounding, and in the distance, I can see Kevin is is shaking to me on the ground. I was like, shit, how did I get into this?
Hmm.
How did I accept this responsibility to bring the boys here? I was really feeling like super guilty about it. And then as I'm nearing close, suddenly Timmy sits up. I was like, shit, he's alive, thank God. And then I go close, and his t-shirt is burned all the way, and only his collar is on his neck, and his
Hmm.
hair is on fire. I was like, what the hell happened here? And Timmy is out of it. He's completely out of it. And I'm trying to ask Kevin what happened, and he said, I don't know, man. I just turned and I could see he climbed up on top of this. There was a goods train sitting there, and he saw this kite come and get caught on the wire above it, on the electrical wire.
Yeah.
So he climbed up on top, and then he went under that wire, and the wire lifted him up. He didn't
What?
realize that it was electrical. It didn't even strike me that someone would do that
Yeah.
because we knew that's 11,000 volts, right?
Yeah.
In the house, it's 240, and that itself is
Yeah.
like so strong, right? When you
Yeah.
get hit, I was like, this is 11,000 volts. Apparently, he went under, and it was way under the wire, but Kevin said, I think
Oof.
it grabbed him. But thankfully, it burned him and it dropped him back onto the train, and he was still in his senses, and Kevin said roll off the train, so he rolled off and Kevin caught him.
Oh, dang.
So so that went down, and then I said, okay, we got to get this guy to a hospital, right? So I go take my mom's TVS Champ. My mom had a TVS Champ at that time, so I got on that. I didn't have a license, nothing, right? We just stole the bike and came. So I go out and I'm trying to find an auto, and I find an auto and I bring the guy. And by the time I come back, right, what was four of us, right, there's about 200 people standing on that Elephant Gate Bridge and just watching the drama.
Oh,
And
really?
around him, there's like maybe two, 3 dozen people just standing and trying to understand what happened to him. And they know something's happened to the train
Yeah.
because his flesh was burned,
Oof.
right? And so I told Kevin, you carry his legs, I'll carry his arms and put him in the auto. I put my hand under his arms until today I can't that thing in his hand. When flesh is burned and you
Yeah.
grab it,
Yeah.
it just stuck into my hands like that, man. I was like, oh my
Oof.
God,
My
like what's that?
God.
And that's when I realized how serious it was, right?
Yeah.
And I put him into the auto, and I was asking somebody because we were struggling. It was too heavy. It became too heavy. So I asked someone, "Can you help us?" And they no, we won't touch. It's a police case. So nobody wanted to help us. So somehow Kevin, me, and then Dave, and I asked the auto guy as well. So four of us carried and put Timmy in the auto. I don't know how he became so heavy. And then we were racing red lights, trying to get to the hospital. We take him to the hospital. It was Kilpauk. We went to Kilpauk Hospital, and the doctor said, "I'm sorry, we can't admit him because this is a police case. It's a suicide case. He tried to commit suicide." I said, how do you make up all this? Like, you don't even know what happened. I haven't told you what happened.
Yeah.
He says, no, I can see he's tried to commit suicide. He's burned himself. I said, no, he hasn't committed suicide. He was trying to catch a kite and the train. How can he get on a train? Stupid questions, right?
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
doctors. I said, look, the guy is
Dang.
the guy is dangerously close to dying, right? You
Yeah.
need to do something. Get him on some IV or something. He said, okay, I'll do it. You go downstairs to the police. There's a counter there. Go and file a FIR and say this was an accident. Bring it to me, then I will admit him. I said, can you do it now? The guy's going to die. He says, no, I will not.
Holy cow.
Right? So this is a doctor, okay?
Yeah.
So I go downstairs and I'm in a panic, man. Think about it, right? We were
Yeah.
young kids. I was like maybe 18 or
Yeah.
17 or something like that. Like, never dealt with something like this before. So I go down to the police counter and I said, we need to file a FIR. This is what happened. I told him the entire story. And he says, no, we cannot file it because this is definitely a suicide case. I said, come on, if you don't file it, this guy might die. He said, I cannot do anything. I said, what do
What
I
the
need to
heck?
do? He said, okay, maybe give some money, then I will open the case. I was
Oh
like, come
my
on, man, I'm a
God.
kid, I'm like a 16, 17-year-old kid. I looked in my pockets and I looked at, I think, Dave, do you have any money? I think we had like 18 rupees or something like that. And we gave it to those guys and then they opened up a case. And then
For
I went
18
upstairs and
rupees.
for 18 rupees they wouldn't care about your life. That was how it was. It was just pathetic. So yeah. So we go up, we give the thing, and then he admits thing, and they start him on an IV, and he stabilizes, and they said he's dangerously close. He has to be admitted and kept in ICU. Better you go and tell his parents. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to tell his parents. And then Kevin and Dave were like, no, you are going to tell his parents. We're very scared of Auntie, I think. They were close to Auntie, I think. So they said, you are the one to say. Oh my God, this is getting worse. I can speak to the police, but I can't speak to his
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah.
So we go home, and I'm nervous, man. I'm like, how do I breach this topic, right? And thankfully, Timmy's elder sister's boyfriend, I think now husband, was there at that time. And then he asked me, why do you guys look like something? You saw a ghost or something. I said, man, Saji, this is what happened. He was like, he just stared. It's like, how are we gonna tell her? I said, you have to do it, man. We are too scared. He just told Miss Vanderput, Timmy and the boys went near the railway station and something happened, and that's it, man. Auntie
Mm.
Vanderput, she just went into a fit. She was so scared what happened, and then we had to tell her, no, he survived, and then we gave her the whole brief. And I felt so bad. She was my class teacher in school.
Yeah.
I was sure I will never pass that year.
Yeah.
I was already failed the previous year, so I knew 11th I'm never gonna pass. So yeah, eventually, they realized it was not my fault in any way, and what happened, and eventually after months and months of hospital thing, the guy recovered, and I'm glad he's great today, man. And it's
Yeah.
just a miracle, man. That
Yeah.
seriously, there's so many people who are praying for him and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Dang, I
Like
did
I
not
I know
know
for a
that
fact,
story.
that people in that same area have been lifted up by their head. There have been
Ooh.
people who were lifted by their head, but the electricity did not let go of them, and they were
Mm.
found like charred from top to bottom, right?
Oof.
So when I told my uncle what happened, he said, "Man, that guy is super
Yeah.
blessed,
Yeah.
because they've seen people there who have been charred from
Yeah.
the head down because they got pulled up by their head when they
Yeah.
were working on the lines." So yeah, that was like crazy story that was.
Yeah, I know Timmy told
Timmy.
me a little bit of that story, but I did not know he was with you. I thought he was by himself, and but yeah, I did not. And it's been a while. I remember. That's
Yeah,
crazy, dude.
that one, man, that one
18 years
that was
old.
like life
Yeah,
shaping moment, when you
yeah,
really like start questioning
yeah,
your outlook on a lot of things.
yeah,
That really makes you into a different mature person, and
yeah. And there were no phones, right? You had to like
there were no
travel to
phones.
tell
No,
somebody. You know?
absolutely. Yeah,
Dang.
ridiculous. I'll never forget going home because my dad, he would slaughter me if he got to hear that something like this happened because of me.
Yeah.
So I had to hide it from him, and eventually it came out, and I got a beating for it. Like, why do you take them there?
Yeah.
Never forget, I was washing my hands with, remember Kame soap? That was like,
Yes, I
that
think
was
so.
like you'd get it from foreign uncles coming from abroad and stuff like that.
I remember
Kami
Yardley.
soap was like, oh, Yardley and Kami. So I
Yeah.
had Kami, and
Yeah.
that was a very strong perfume, right? So
Yeah.
you'd smell of Kami for a while. I'd wash with Kami, like, I don't know how many times I washed with Kami, and I'd smell it, and I'd still smell burnt flesh, and it went on for more than a week, man. For a week, I'd be washing my hand, and eventually that smell went away. That was traumatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
Dang.
was. I'm so glad that he pulled through. Really
Yeah.
good. Props to him, man. He was a
Yeah.
fighter,
He's
that dude.
such a good guy, such a sweet guy, even Timmy.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And then he ended up being a musician as well. He
Yeah.
wasn't at that point, but he
Yeah.
ended up being a pretty good drummer as well, I heard.
Yeah. A to J. I think the last time I heard we were.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's A to Jesus, so it was A to J.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So I know that you're into diving, right? So is tell me about
Yeah.
is that your kite replacement? Are you as passionate about diving as
Yeah.
yeah?
I think I don't do anything half-heartedly. So I think I
Yeah.
take up something and I'm all
Yeah.
in. So yeah, I took up free diving and I still free dive.
What is free
I,
diving?
so free diving is when you go down to depths without any kind of gear.
Oh, you just hold your breath and
You just hold your breath. So you do breath hold practices, and uh, now I don't do it as much as I used to when I was single, right? And I was had a lot more free time on my hands. But I still free dive when I go on holiday every year. But I don't do it with the intention of depth.
okay.
Before we used to spearfish. So
Oh, really?
I don't eat fish, but I like to spearfish. So I used to have a brother-in-law who was a phenomenal diver and spearfisher, and we'd go out and we'd just free dive, shoot fish, and we shoot big fish, man, and
Oh,
we'd bring it
really?
up and we'd give it away.
Uh,
You know, the kingfish and the seerfish and all of
yeah.
that. We
Yeah.
just pick it and shoot it, and it was fun, man.
Where do you
Yeah.
where do you dive mostly? I know you
I
used to
learned
travel
I
a
learned to
lot.
dive in the UAE,
Okay.
but all my diving, like scuba, I do in the Philippines now because my wife is from the Philippines.
Yeah.
So every year I go there and I pick a different island each time and I go and explore.
How deep do
So
you? What's the max depth you went, and how long were you able to hold your breath?
like I think at my best I could do like 10 meters and that's like 33 feet and I could stay down for
Oof.
like a minute because you need that much to be able to shoot. That's not great in any way, but it's enough for hobby level,
Yeah.
enough to shoot some big fish.
Oh,
That's
dang! I
all
could
there
not
was
do
to
that,
it.
man.
Yeah, my brother-in-law was really good. He was at 20 meters for 2 minutes, and he'd shoot some monster fish, man. Oh my God, we shoot groupers, like
Oh, those
bigger,
are
yeah,
big.
big
Yeah.
fish, right?
Yeah.
You need two people to lift them. They were
Yeah.
that big, and we'd cut and we'd give away like almost 6 or 7 people would have enough fish for like a whole week
Yeah.
because they were big fish you used to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to shoot the kings. They were like arm's length kind of things. So kings would
Dang.
get them in the August, November when it's kingfish season.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Some boyish stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. I can't. I don't dive. I don't do anything in the water. I stay away from it.
Yeah, I used to be afraid of water as a kid.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to do was to learn to swim
Yeah.
and lose that fear. And I also instill it in my kids as well. You got to learn to swim.
Yeah.
It's just a necessity like walking.
Yeah. Tell me, we'll wrap this up soon, but I'm really interested in your mom seems to be like a strong figure in your life, like how do you see yourself more like your mom, and do you see as a teenager you probably did not see any sense in it. But now, do you see the sense, and like, how do you see her impacting your life with all her lessons? Right? I think just being frugal, right? Like, hey, I know you want these two things, make a choice. We only have money for one, right? And that's a life lesson, that whether you like it or not, how do you see her parenting like impacting your life now?
Yeah, look, I completely modeled the way I conduct myself and the way I run my family. It's mostly on my mom's ideals, like to turn the other cheek and all of these things I learned from her. But now I'm not that kind of turn the other cheek. I'm a bit more like, like, look, like, be yourself, by yourself, stay away from me, like I'm very patient as a person,
Yeah.
but I'm not as patient as I once was, because it's just the nature of people to take advantage of patient people, kind people. So my mom was very kind and things like that, and of course, we used to have some issues at home with, with the family and
Sure.
with dad and stuff like that. So when I grew up, this was an example of, okay, I'm not gonna be like this. So I'd model how she was running her life. She had faith in God, and she did the right thing, even if it was hard. So
Yeah.
that's how I run my life, and that's how I run my life with my kids as well.
Yeah.
And I teach my daughter as well. It's like, look, do the right thing, speak the truth. You don't need to remember what lies you told, and when you lie, you will get caught in that lie, and you have to defend that lie
Yeah.
with more lies. But when you walk in the truth and you speak the truth, you don't have to bullshit. You'll always remember what you did.
Yeah.
So in that way, mom impacted us a lot. And I'll forget once on Good Friday. I hated Good Friday because I had long hair, and
Yes.
I'd get in church, with the youth group. I have to carry the cross at the stations. I'm like this Jesus with long hair, and my mom is reading the station and she's crying. I'm like, oh my God, don't do this! It's so embarrassing. And she's like, no, my son, it's so. She gets fully involved in
Yeah.
that. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, but don't cry at least. It's like when I'm carrying the cross, it's so embarrassing for me. But no, every year you wouldn't have a choice. She would read and she would cry. I was like, oh, here we go again. So yeah, mom was like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So she definitely, for all of us, me and my sisters as well, she's like our role model. Too bad she passed away like when she was like in 50s. She was very young.
Yeah.
She was 57 when she passed away.
Mm. Dang. Yeah.
So yeah, like that for sure. Mom definitely had an impact over the way she conducted her life,
Yeah.
and yeah, the music part of it. And she always encouraged us, and
Yeah.
she'd never like like talk down on us and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So much so when I flunked as well, she said, I'd be upset with you, if you were a stupid kid. I wouldn't be upset with you. But she says, you're a
Mm.
brilliant kid,
Yeah.
and you just don't see the point in
Yeah.
study, and that's what upsets me.
Yeah.
She never got angry with me. She didn't shout at me. She didn't belt me. Nothing. Right? So that was like my wake up call as well.
Yeah.
Like, she has a point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
When you have
so
potential, you see
yeah,
that as a parent now, right? In your
absolutely,
kid,
man. And
you have
yeah,
potential.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And ever since that thing she talked to me that evening, right? And I was sitting and staring at the wall for I think 4 hours, minimum of 4 hours. I think I sat and I just stared at a wall opposite me. I could hear kites in the sky, but I just was devastated, because
Yeah.
what she said eventually came to pass, you know. And since then, I have never ever like backed down on studying, on academics and stuff like that. I went to the 11th, and I think in the next exam, I think I came third in class or something like that. And it's
Wow.
always
Look at
been up,
you.
up, up. Yeah, I
Yeah.
completely like switched, after that. Like something just
Yeah.
changed, and I never really backed down. I started studying. I became a tech guy, and I got scholarships because you take these aptitude tests and you
Yeah.
score high. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just something switched in me,
Yeah.
and it just stayed like till
Yeah.
like I recently took a very difficult exam as well. That's why I couldn't speak
Yeah.
earlier to you. So when it comes to study, and I still remember my mom's words. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. What a great story. Do you still play guitar? And is your kid in any way interested? And three questions: do you still play guitar? Is your kid interested? And do you have pictures of Lyndon with long hair?
I have a terrible picture of me with long hair. All the
Yeah.
good pictures,
Yeah.
which were maybe two or three, I don't know where it went, but I can send it across to you. So for a
Heck yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Send me if you have
terrible.
pictures of Cemetery, the band.
I
That'd be
have
awesome.
I have a
Yeah.
couple of
Do you
pictures.
have any? Do you have
Yeah.
anything on YouTube? Anything online we can listen to? Any
Yeah, I have
recordings
a
published?
YouTube channel. I'll send you the link as well.
Do you have any cemetery stuff on there? I know you have your.
We actually started working on cemetery gates, which everybody knew us for.
Yeah.
So I started laying down the tracks on the
Oh,
thing,
you
but
guys are
again,
currently working on something?
yeah, oh, did I give
Nice,
it away?
dude.
Shit, no, no, sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
okay,
You want me to
so,
edit that or I'll cut it out?
huh?
I'll
No,
cut
no,
that
no,
out
it's
if you.
fine. No,
Okay.
it's fine. We'll get to it in this life, hopefully.
Sweet.
So yeah, so we are trying to do the guitars and finish. Shan's already finished the bass and I think we got the drums done as well. So it's just the guitar work pending. So I need to crack on with that. But
Yeah.
but to answer your question, yeah, I do play guitar, but not as much as I like. Uh, it's just being a dad and a family man and
Yeah.
work. Oh my
Yeah.
God, the time shrinks.
Yeah.
And I love chess, man. So chess
Oh,
is my
really?
passion as well. So between chess and guitar, I'm always fighting now. There's always something to fight with my guitar. But no, I still play and don't play as much as I like, but I
Yeah.
think I play kind of better than I used to play before.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not fast, I'm not
Yeah.
gifted and all of that stuff, but when I play, I can tell when I'm playing rubbish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
try to play stuff within my what do you say, my capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know this is out of my zone. So
Yeah.
I just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played live since 2015. I used to play in a band with the boys, with the guys here in Dubai as well.
Oh, really?
That was great as well. We had a awesome time playing here as well, because the level of musicianship is very high out here, because everybody's got great instruments and all
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
of course in India and Chennai back now, if you listen to guys, they're killing
Yeah.
it. They're
Oh,
playing
yeah.
great stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing. So yeah, I haven't played since 2015 live. So I guess that part is retired. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do enjoy playing the old stuff. I only play the old stuff. And my brother-in-law, Sheldon, and we are always talking on a daily basis on
Yeah.
about metal, and he's a killer player. Oh my God, he's
Sheldon. I
killer.
was with him in Matthias. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He
So
was the one who, when I was just starting off, I was learning, I know, like Sweet Child of Mine, probably everybody played it. And I was playing it like to my ears, it sounded correct. And then he showed me how he was playing it, which was the right way. And I was like, wait, your fingers move like that? Yeah, phenomenal guy.
yeah,
Super
solid
talented
player.
guy. Yeah,
Killer,
super.
player. So even when I'm playing stuff like Maiden, Metallica, Slayer, and all that, Testament, if
Yeah,
I just go,
Testament.
and
Yeah,
this guy's like, he's playing it, and when he's playing it, it sounds good.
yeah,
When I'm playing it, it sounds shit. I'm like, how's this possible, man? He's like, come on, it's the same thing. But no, it's not. It's
yeah,
just his feel is
yeah,
awesome. He's damn
yeah.
good. So
Awesome,
yeah,
dude. What time is it in Dubai? It's
so it's 9:49
okay.
now.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, we have early nights. We don't sleep that early. It's the weekend here, so we'll probably stay on till midnight doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, thank you so much. Man, I haven't spoken about kites. I miss that so much. And thanks for sharing all the cemetery stories, both the literal actual cemetery and the band cemetery. Thanks, dude. I had fun talking with you. One of the, like I'm telling you, I was telling, if you haven't listened to the one I spoke with Bruce, I was saying like Lyndon Baldrey and Mark Wilcox. I'm not sure if you know Mark Wilcox from
I know
Percywakkam.
Mark Wilcox. He was my
Yeah.
senior in school.
Yeah, so I watched him like first time up close. Then for some reason I did not watch anybody else, and I saw you playing on stage. Like the earliest people I saw playing guitar, and were like, super inspiring to see like people almost my age play so well. It was mind blowing. So thanks,
I
dude.
remember Bruce was fun, man. Bruce was this guy. He was this young kid, right?
Yeah.
And he had this ponytail, and he'd just stand and stare at me when I'm playing. I was like, why is this? Look at this guy's just not even blinking, right? I was like, why is he staring at me like that? And it was just so in love with the instrument.
Yeah.
And, it's too bad I didn't have enough time to hang out with Bruce when
Yeah.
when we were in India, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's such a cool dude. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. I watch him now. I'm like, wow, this
Yeah.
guy's inspiring,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like he keeps saying that I motivated him. I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you talking, dude? I was like, I'm trying to understand what you're doing there. Right? Yeah. So,
Yeah, that dude is he's crazy, man. I
Yeah.
told him he's the local Lukatha, which is not a joke. The dude's killing it. All right, man. Enjoy your time in Dubai. Eat all the Indian food. I hope you get to fly kites the next Lahori season, whatever that comes up. Take care, dude. See you, man. Hey.
Cool, man.